Fourth and Forever podcast, where we're finally going to get down to talking about our way too early predictions for the NFL 2019 to 2020 season. So last session, we totally overran, so we intended to get this into that episode, but it turns out we can't really manage our podcast very well. So it doesn't really matter because we dictate it. We are the bosses. We do what we want. And you're going to eat it up anyway, aren't you? Yeah, you are. Anyway, I digress. Hello, Darren. Welcome back.
Hello.
Hello. So, in getting into this, do you want to kick us off with what you think is a way too early prediction for this season?
Okay, so one of my far too early predictions is that Sterling Shepard is going to be on his knees in tears, looking at the sky in just hatred and depression within about 3 games for the Giants.
Oh boy, you think so? Did he not sign a nice big contract recently, which says that he's happy to be
paid,
there?
But when that slot route that's going to take him to the end zone hits that floor 3 yards in front of him, I just think he's going to drop to his knees and trade me. Trade me.
So where's your confidence meter in the New York Giants offense for next season on a scale of 1 to 10?
1 being good.
One being lowest, and 10 being like the Chiefs from last season.
Well, I don't really like Golden Tate, so I'm going to say 1. I don't think they've got anything.
Oh, that is damning. So 1 would be historically bad. So do you think that would be, say, worse than the Buffalo Bills offense of last season?
I think, yes, definitely. I think they might steal a game in their own division against like the Redskins or something, but I wouldn't be surprised if by the bye they're at like 1-7.
Wow. Okay.
Well, because they're at 1-6 this year and they had better players.
Yeah.
Just been, so I don't see it improving unless Daniel Jones is the chosen one, which I'm not going to put any money on that being the case. So.
Oh man!
But as we were saying about the draft, he could be. We don't know, but I don't expect him to be.
Yeah, well, I do still think that they do have Saquon there. I actually do like Golden Tate. Sterling Shepard, he probably, I think, hasn't really got enough credit. I don't think he's a great wide receiver. He's certainly not a number 1, but I don't think that they're that bad, really. I think that I've got a more positive perception of the Giants' prospects for this season than you do. In fact, I was going to be talking about this one a little bit later, but I guess I'll merge mine into this one with you. So, just to be contrarian, my prediction is that Daniel Jones will sit for the whole year with the Giants. Like, there's a lot of talk about how he could come in once the Giants start slipping and the season gets away from them. But I reckon that they will stick out with Eli one more time and just let Jones see the absolute mindfuck that he's in for. Ben McAdoo essentially lost his job for benching Eli Manning during the season when he really deserved to be benched. And I don't think that that's something that will happen again this season, as I think that they will just kind of roll with the punches. And having looked at the Giants' schedule, I would actually say that these games are a lot more winnable than other areas. They've got to play the likes of the Dolphins, and the Redskins are still ailing. You don't really know what's going to happen there, so they're going to play the Redskins twice, so that's a couple of wins potentially right there. And that's purely based on how little faith I have in their quarterbacks at the moment. But yeah, there's even, to my mind, a chance that Eli does well enough to get into the playoffs. Into contention, but that's just purely based on what I see from their schedule. That division being a little bit of a weird one. I don't see them winning the division. No way. I put that down to the Eagles. I reckon the Cowboys would be too strong for them as well. But like the games that they have out with their division are actually quite favourable. And like if they get towards the end of the season and they've got like 7-8 wins, I wouldn't be totally surprised.
Yeah.
Okay. But like that,
I've had enough of the Giants.
Yeah. But like I find myself saying this, but then part of me does think like, why are you doing this? Why are you saying this? Because I don't have that much faith in the Giants. I just have this strange feeling that Eli has one more good season in him. Like they still don't have much on the offensive line yet, but I just have this feeling that it must click a little bit better this season than it did last season, even with OBJ out. They've got Saquon there, they've got Sterling Shepard back, they're maybe going to utilise it a bit better. I don't see them completely rolling over this season. And I don't know. There's no reason for me to think this. I just have this feeling.
Yeah. Okay, so my next one. Just
okay,
moving on from the Giants.
Yeah, we'll go back to you then.
Okay, so this is going to be painful for me to say.
Oh.
I think early prediction that the Browns are going to start 4-4, and I think they're going to fire Steve Wilkes before the bye.
Oh, you really have no faith in poor Steve Wilkes.
No. So put it this way. In the first 8 games, the Browns have to play the Rams, the Ravens, the Seahawks, and the Pats.
Yeah, it's tough.
And I don't see them winning those games in a zonal system, especially when they have 2 of the best man-to-man corners in the league. Well, potential, because Greedy Williams hasn't played. So, I just can't see it. I think they've made a mistake. I still think they'll make the playoffs this year. I think they're going to notice quite quickly, especially against the Seahawks and the Rams, that they've made an error on their defensive scheme.
So,
but there's also the case that they're talking about. It still might be a man-to-man scheme.
Yeah, that was one.
Even with Steve Wilkes.
Say. Yeah, I think it will depend.
It doesn't look likely. So.
Yeah, it'll depend on whether Wilkes enforces his own scheme on things, or whether he adapts to the sort of players that he has. And looking at that Cleveland depth chart, there is not much in the way of weakness there. So yeah, like if you were to give me 4-4 at the start of the season, I like.
Especially with the Pats and the Broncos and the Seahawks, and the Rams.
It's tough.
4 of you. This is the issue with being in this AFC. It's just some of these teams are really good, and you play them really quickly. And did we really have to play the NFC West?
Yeah.
This season, did we have to? Rams, Seahawks.
That's tough.
49ers away.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be. It's not easy, so I think that they're going to struggle at the start and then come right.
I think that at the moment, like this season in particular, there seems to be a lot of teams, even the bad teams from last season, are all trending in the right way, and you can all see them improving this season.
Every single team is going to go 8-8.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. It's just going to be
except the Giants.
Yeah, exactly. Who will go? Actually, is that possible?
The teams that finished with a positive record was the ones that played the Giants.
Yeah.
That was their tiebreakers.
Mm-hmm. It's it seems to me that there's less bad teams in the NFL than there has been in the past. It just seems to be more consistently okay teams, or teams that are improving. There's not much in the way. Well, there's no such thing as an easy game in the NFL. Allegedly. So, again, it's definitely one of these things that until we see what they look like, how they line up, how they start tracking these wide receivers, you do not know what you're going to get with this Browns team, how well they're going to play.
So if the Browns have to play the NFC West and the AFC East this season, the Broncos on week 9. But to be fair to the Browns, that's why I think they'll bounce back, because they've got to play the Cardinals, the Bengals, and the Dolphins 3 weeks in a row.
Yes.
And that's after playing the Steelers at home and the Bills as well. So we've been unlucky to get the NFC East, but we've got the NFC West even.
Yeah.
But we're lucky to have the AFC West.
That division is
yes, we have
tough.
to play the Pats, but
Yeah.
the Jets, Bills, and Dolphins.
Yeah, just looking at your talk of a 4-4 start. So you got Titans, Jets, Rams, Ravens, Niners, Seahawks, Patriots, Browns, Bills, Steelers. So from that, I would say
6-4.
Titans win, Jets win. I would say Rams loss, Ravens win because I still don't have. Sorry. Browns win against the Ravens because I don't have that much faith in the Ravens to keep it going. I still feel that you'll beat the 49ers. I think that...
Is that at home or away?
I think you're at home for that one, actually.
No, that's at Levi's. No, I think San Fran will win that game.
Okay. Seahawks, obviously they've just lost Doug Baldwin, which is a big one. Then you got Patriots. I would love to see Baker do something there. Then you got Broncos.
It's the biggest game of the season, I think, at that point.
Yeah.
Like that'll be huge. People
that's going to be
televised.
On that. That's going to be televised. Broncos Browns split. No, we'll be watching that one, so absolutely watching that one. I would probably give Browns the edge on that one. And you beat the Bills, and I actually see you beating the Steelers twice this year.
Cool. And then we've got the Dolphins, Bengals, and Cardinals in between the Steelers. So
yeah,
we should be fine. But I just have this feeling that the system isn't going to be ready and it's not going to work and it's not going to be an easy start. In a far too early prediction.
Yes, that's what we're doing. Yeah, so the Browns to fire Steve Wilkes after 8 weeks, you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. Any way too early predictions on who they might replace him with?
No, I don't know any of the...
Probably be your defensive backs coach or something.
Yeah, it's someone that knows the players that plays, keeps them to a system they actually will use, you know?
Yeah. Well, sticking with the sort of analysis on strength of schedule and teams who are in the rebuilding process, the Arizona Cardinals, they have been touted as having a fantastic draft. They've given Kyler Murray all sorts of weapons. They've moved Josh Rosen on. They've improved that defense with getting a good pass rusher and a nice safety in there. Obviously, they've got rid of Steve Wilkes, who you reckon is just going to be walking on and walking on. But I think that the Cardinals will finish with just one more win than they had last season. But still look much improved. So yeah, don't get me wrong. The Cardinals are definitely trending in the right direction, but their schedule is brutal. Like, they've got to play in one of the strongest, most exciting divisions in the NFL, in the NFC West. And they also have to play every team in the AFC North, including your Browns, which is also a very strong division these days. Even the Bengals, they could still do something. And they have the Falcons away, and they've got the Panthers away. It's just brutal, and I can't see them being able to put it all together. Not as consistently enough yet. I think they're still another year away from getting above that 8-8 mark.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Mm-hmm. Like, I think that they're going to be fascinating to watch, and that they're going to put up much better offensive performances than they did last year. But it's surely going to take a little bit of time to gel. I mean, we could have our socks completely blown off by this air raid offense.
It's going to be such a young team, and as soon as they get punched in their mouth, it's going to be hard, especially if they come out at the start and it's difficult and they're 20 points down in the first game. They're such a young team, it's just going to be difficult for them to get there, but as I said, they should be improved. Yeah.
I think that they're going to come out against the Lions, and I think that they could beat the Lions in week 1, and then everyone's going to start going off their heads. They're going to be amazed, and then they've got the Ravens the following week. I actually see them maybe doing something against them, but that defense of the Ravens could still they could be the ones to really punch them in the mouth first. And then you start getting into the Panthers, Seahawks, Bengals, Falcons. Like, I reckon they're going to have a half-decent start to the season, but then when you start playing against the Saints, 49ers,
at the
Rams...
at the end, Rams, Steelers, Browns, Seahawks, Rams.
Yeah, that's a brutal finish to the season.
Do you think they'll pull Kyler? Or do you think he'll play every minute?
Who's their backup?
In...
Because they don't have Josh Rosen anymore.
But if they're 3-12 going into those last four, if they're 3-9 going into those last few games,
protect him. Yeah, you shouldn't be having Kyler Murray on a season which is completely lost.
It's a shame because this Cardinal team, if they aren't good, are going to go a long way to deciding the NFC.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Rams, Seahawks, and Saints, are going to just get easy wins otherwise. And then if they have a plucky performance against one of them, they might knock them out.
Yeah.
At this rate. So if the Seahawks come undone away, in Arizona, then that might be them out the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be exciting, and they'll have to drastically improve. But the draft says anything. At least they've kind of done that.
Yeah, I reckon they're going to be a very watchable team, but they're still a bit away from actually putting something together in terms of getting a winning season. Like you say, it's just something that experience, time, and implementing the system is going to work with. But I think a lot of people are expecting too much too soon from such a young squad with a rookie NFL head coach in Cliff Kingsbury. Of course, it will depend on just how well he manages to implement this new offense. And they've got Vance Joseph back as their defensive coordinator there. So as long as he's kept away from any clock management duties, they'll probably be all right. Yeah, like they're a good team. Patrick Peterson, Buda Baker in there at the cornerback and safety slots, going to really help keep that real. Terrell Suggs is getting a bit old, but you still got Chandler Jones on that defensive end spot. So maybe pop Zach Allen around the other side from him. You've got a couple of really good pass rushers. You don't have much up the middle. Robert Nkemdiche is just not panning out at the moment. You got Jordan Hicks at linebacker. Like they've got pieces, but they're not there yet. There's still too many holes, and they're still too young.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So moving on from them, hit me with what you got.
Case Keenum will not play a single snap for the rest.
Okay, yeah, I can see that being something that's going to happen. I think he was brought in, acquired via trade from the Broncos, and he was there to be the guy in case they didn't get Dwayne Haskins. And then they got Dwayne Haskins, and having got Dwayne Haskins, that's probably signifying the end for Alex Smith there, I would say. Unfortunately for him. But yeah,
they've worked it quite well though, because they've got Case Keenum on 1 year for $7 million. They're pretty much giving Alex Smith another 16 months or something to get to backup level.
Yeah.
So he might still have a career. But yeah, he's not going to be a starter for this team anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's done.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate because he had the chance in that division. He had a chance to get them to the playoffs if he played the way he played for the Chiefs and that. But that was a bad injury to take.
Yeah, you could say that one again.
Well, because isn't it it's not the injury, it's the getting MRSA in the hospital.
Yeah.
Getting the infection was more damaging to him than the actual, because they can fix a leg, but if you get an infection in a hospital after an operation, that no matter how strong and how fit you are, that can be the end of it. So yeah,
you don't have much of a say over MRSA. It just it once it's in there, it's you've really got to throw everything at it to try and curb that.
So apparently he was at a Wizards game a few weeks ago and he was looking strong like he wasn't, but apparently like in private he was really weak and ill for a long time. Not the leg, but just, the immune system.
Yeah.
So we'll see if he can get back to playing fitness once his leg's better. But it's a tough role for him. So I wouldn't be holding my breath on that one.
Yeah. So what are you feeling? So you're obviously saying Dwayne Haskins is going to be day one starter at the Redskins.
Yeah, even if he's not ready, I think they're just going to go with it. I think they have to do something for their fans, and they've got a strong defense. So, they've really improved their roster off their acquisitions and defense, and getting a couple of boys in the draft, and getting Landon Collins, and they've got Josh Norman, and they're going to be pretty solid in that NFC East. But yeah, I don't know. The Redskins are a bit of a misnomer right now.
Yeah, they're kind of hard to judge. I think they're looking a little bit weak at wide receiver. With their number one wide receiver being Paul Richardson, or I suppose you could say Josh Doxson. There's talk of Trey Quinn being really good. They picked up Kelvin Harmon in the draft. Looks pretty handy. You got Jordan Reed. Can he stay fit? You got Vernon Davis. Your running backs look pretty good, because obviously you've got Adrian Peterson there. You picked up Bryce Love in the draft. If he can pull everything back together. Darius Geis, is he going to be as big as we'd assumed he would be? The main question is at quarterback on that offense. So with the weapons that Dwayne Haskins will have around him, what would you say is his over-under? Like, where would we set that at for... actually, I'll tell you what, I'll set it for you. For touchdowns, interceptions, and wins this season. So touchdowns, let's set the over-under at 16 touchdowns.
Gosh, I think every quarterback should go over that. I'd say over.
Say over? Is that strong over?
No. But I just don't think you will be starting for very long if you don't do more than that. That's, some people do that in 3 games.
Yeah. Now keep in mind, he does have Eric Flowers in front of him on that line, so...
oh, God. Yeah.
But he is playing guard rather than tackle now, so maybe that'll be more his sort of level.
He's playing against Giants.
Yeah. Okay, interceptions, 13.
Probably right on.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised if he went 20 and 13. So much like Sam Bradford kind of numbers in the first season. Mm-hmm. But I think he's going to be a good player. I haven't really seen anything that would say he isn't going to be a good player.
Mm-hmm.
But it really depends. I haven't seen him play.
Yeah.
So it's hard to give him a grade.
So of course they're in quite an interesting division, because they're going to have to play the Eagles twice a year, play the Cowboys twice a year. They start off with Eagles and Cowboys back to back as well, so it's going to be a bit of a baptism of fire for Dwayne Haskins, having to deal with Fletcher Cox and DeMarcus Lawrence. And then it doesn't get any easier week 3 when they've got the Bears, so you're going to have Khalil Mack breathing down his neck. Then you can take a week off when you've got the Giants, of course. And then you're right back in it again with the Patriots. Looking at that...
So say the over-under on that would be 6, and I'd say under.
Okay.
I go 5 and 11, 4 and 12. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fair. But yeah, again, a team that is going to be trending in the right direction, but they have some holes to fill. And with a new quarterback coming into play in Dwayne Haskins, it just depends on how quickly he can develop. Obviously, we know that he can put up numbers when he's got the right players around him, as he did when he was at Ohio State. So maybe it's just a matter of Dan Schneider at the Redskins working hard to get him more weapons.
Yeah, but
he's doing the right job on the defensive side of the ball, but when your quarterback goes down like Alex Smith did, you have to completely revamp your plans for the future.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Okay. Right. So, my next my next way too early prediction is that Derek Carr will throw for 30 plus TDs again and save his career, but he's still going to get sacked a bunch. I think that Oakland offense is going to improve. I think getting Antonio Brown was an absolute steal. And getting someone like Josh Jacobs in the backfield is going to help a lot as well. On the other side from Antonio Brown, you've acquired Tyrell Williams, who was an excellent acquisition as well. He's kind of flown under the radar in terms of pickups there. Your offensive line is still questionable. You've brought in Trent Brown for silly money from New England. He'll be one of these disposable tackles who'll leave the Patriots and probably be garbage again. And then you're still persisting with putting Colton Miller out at left tackle. That's kind of hard to see how that one's going to pan out. But he's got to step up big time this year because he was not good last year. But that is something which we do tend to see from offensive linemen just coming into the league, is that their first season, they won't quite get it. Second year is like, okay, cool, we're maybe just about getting there. And then the third year is when they really come into their own. So if that's the sort of graph that Colton Miller is going to be taking, then it might help a fair bit. But behind Derek Carr, you've got Mike Glennon, career backup, but I still see him as being a decent quarterback. And then you got Nathan Peterman on the roster. So I basically just want to talk about that quarterback.
How does he still get paid?
I don't know. But yeah, I don't see the Raiders moving away from Derek Carr this season unless they really have to. Like, the only thing that's going to happen is if there's an injury, then they'll maybe just say like, okay, we'll stick Glennon out, and that's it.
With the Raiders, they need to get that connection between Carr and Brown in the red zone.
Yes.
In the first game. Brown needs to get a touchdown catch from Carr in the first game to get away from this stupid thing that cheap analysts on like ESPN and that keep bringing up about how he's never caught a touchdown from a quarterback not named Big Ben.
Of course.
They need to get around. That needs to go straight away. First drive of the first game, they need to get them connected for a touchdown, so that can't even be mentioned anymore.
Yeah.
And then there's players there, don't they?
Yeah, they look good. Yeah, exactly.
Jacobs can definitely be a swing running back who can get the check downs. Yeah, I think they should be okay. I don't know if he can get 30 touchdowns, but that's going to be a lot on Antonio Brown. If he gets free and they can get that connection then.
But yeah, they're wide receiving room now. So that's Antonio Brown, Tyrell Williams, and JJ Nelson was acquired from Arizona. That's a pretty good 1-2-3 punch. And you can also put Ryan Grant in there as well. They got him from Indy. Tight end, bit of a weakness now, I'd say. But they picked up Derek Carrier from the Los Angeles Rams. They got Luke Wilson from Detroit, previously of Seattle Seahawks fame. I can see them maybe managing to maneuver him around. I mean, John Gruden likes a tight end.
Luke Wilson's quite a good red zone scoring threat. Mm-hmm. He always seems to get touchdowns, even if he doesn't do much else. He does seem to get free in the end zone or on a kind of a tight end hitch or he seems to, especially with the Seahawks, he was always kind of getting on the end of these throws. And that was part of the issue with Graham, was that Wilson was doing more in the end zone than Graham was. So
yeah, I
think it's so hit and miss. But yeah, 30, I'd say under, but I'd set the over under probably at 30. I think they do have a chance to put up some numbers this year.
Yeah, well, I still see their defense as not being great. So obviously they've gone and brought in like Cleveland Farrell and Jonathan Abram, Trayvon Mullen, Carl Joseph and Lamarcus Joyner are already there. They brought in Vontez Perfect at linebacker to. Honestly, if they're talking about all this stuff about changing the attitude around the building, why the hell would you bring in Vontez Perfect? Because his attitude is absolute poison.
Yeah. Don't know. I don't even want to talk about him. He's useless.
Yeah, but basically the way that I see it is that defense is still going to be pretty garbage. So therefore, the offense is going to have to step up, and they have some weapons at wide receiver now. Like Antonio Brown is one of the greatest weapons in the league. So that's going to give Derek Carr more of an opportunity to put the ball up. Whether it's to him, whether it's to Tyrell Williams, JJ Nelson is a burner. There's potential there. And I see 30-plus touchdowns.
Similar to what we were saying with Arizona. This league, a lot of teams have gone we're going to keep scoring and then you have to steal a possession from us to beat us.
Mm.
And if they play enough of those teams, they will put up points.
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not they have enough to win because their defense isn't going to steal possessions for them is going to be the big thing. So they might lose games, 42-28,
Yeah.
They'll still get 4 touchdowns,
Mm-hmm.
but it will be difficult for them to actually grind out wins, I think, because they definitely seem to be going more for the kind of offense by volume.
Yeah.
But some of these defensive players could be stars, and they could change games. But as we said during the draft coverage, we don't know.
They just need to.
On paper, right now, it doesn't look like it.
Yeah, well, Paul Gunther's probably got his work cut out for him there. John Gruden has put together some good defenses in the past, but we'll see how they go. I mean, they're in the AFC West, so you're going to have to deal with the Broncos defense twice a year, and that much improved Los Angeles Chargers defense as well. The Chiefs defense is still looking a bit suspect for a lot of reasons there, but yeah, and like we're just going to be chasing that game. They also have to play the likes of the Colts, the Vikings, Texans, the Bears. It's looking at every team in the NFL now. There's zero gimmies.
Other than Dolphins.
Yeah, maybe. Although, who knows? Maybe Josh Rosen will still manage to keep himself upright and put that ship where it needs to go.
Oh, we'll see.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, you got anything else there now?
Yeah, so really quick point. I think that within 4 weeks, some of these analysts, NFL Network, ESPN, are going to accuse Baker of being immature again.
Of course.
Because I think he's going to grab his balls or throw a ball at someone or have an argument with a ref.
You're going to have... Colin Cowherd is just going to continue his little beef because it keeps him relevant. He just keeps putting out these levels of disrespect towards Baker, and it's unfounded. Everyone's enjoying what Baker's doing there. Baker's coming up and giving Cleveland football a much needed shot in the arm.
Yeah. So that was just a quick throwaway thing. It's definitely going to happen. My far too early prediction though was AJ Green's going to be traded.
Oh, I like that one now. That's an interesting one. So how do you think that's going to pan out?
I think they're going to go 0-4, and then they're going to trade for a couple of picks. Probably to the Pats, unfortunately.
Ooh.
I think AJ Green's going to be tied a lot to what happens to Josh Gordon. So if Josh Gordon can't come back within the first 8 games next season for the Pats, they're going to have to get some downfield talent.
Interesting.
And they'll probably get AJ Green quite cheap, maybe a second and a third next year.
Ooh, ouch.
Well, a second for the next draft, and then a third for the draft after.
That would be painfully low for someone of Green's caliber. He's one of these forgotten guys on a defense, on an offense. And I actually think that we could quite easily have put him into our conversation for most important non-QBs in our last discussion.
I was going more influential, and he's not on the unfortunately the Bengals. He's not going to really influence much of the NFL.
Yeah.
From there, other than stealing maybe a win from the Steelers or something.
Yeah. I can see
it.
the Bengals having some serious problems and being in the stakes for Tua next season,
Yeah.
or possibly even Trevor Lawrence a little bit down the line as well. Hard to say. The Bengals are one of these teams that they could flip either way. Like they could be about to completely tank, or they could be heading in the right direction. It depends on the like performance of Andy Dalton with his supporting cast around him. Your wide receiving group is good. You've still got Tyler Eifert there at tight end, but how many games of the season is he going to miss again? It's hard to say. Joe Mixon, really good running back as well. But that defense is, oh boy, a hot, steaming pile of effluent.
Effluent?
Effluence. It's yeah.
It's when you have money.
No. That's affluent.
Affect and effect. Okay.
Anyway, I'll yeah. It's like wastewater, sewage. Like there's an effluent disposal. Okay, I'll cut this bit out. I'll just say, yeah, they're just a hot, steaming pile of garbage. That work for you?
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. So happy. 2 wins next season, straight off the bat.
Nice.
Now they I can't see AJ Green want to stick around, to be honest. So
It's with someone like Green, because he's not a vocal player, you don't really know where his head's at. So it's hard to tell whether he's the sort of guy who would be just like, I'm just going to stay here. I'm happy in Cincinnati. I love the place. The fans love me. I'm a local legend. Kind of like in a Larry Fitzgerald sort of ilk, where he's like, I'm not leaving. Like I've got too much at stake here in Arizona. I'm doing too much for the community. But if AJ Green wants to win a Super Bowl, I cannot see that happening in Cincinnati. They might have had a window at some point, but that window was yeah, exactly. That window was also taken up by the face of a head coach who couldn't win a playoff game.
Yeah, I just, that seems like a Pats move.
Of course it does.
Second and a third just before the trade deadline. If you
can do that, I think AJ Green would be well worth that to any team. It depends on your cap room, of course, but yeah, he would be a very interesting acquisition that a lot of teams would want to look at.
Yeah, well, the Pats have to do something because the only 2 players that were getting downfield anything for them are gone, or one has signed a tender, so technically belongs to them, and the other is retired. So, in Josh Gordon and Rob Gronkowski, so
yeah,
they'll need to do something.
Yeah, they've got to give Brady some weapons to fill that hole, that void left by Rob Gronkowski. A lot of people are saying that there is big potential for their recently acquired N'Keal Harry to be the one to pick up the slack. Apparently, people are really, really liking him to be one of the top-rated rookies next year. But again, you never can tell.
Yeah, no, we're not going to know with the rookies. But
yeah,
AJ Green's going to be looked at every time they lose. I remember seeing the mic'd up, Josh Norman marking Green and just bullying him, and he just looked like someone who had just given up.
Yeah, well, you would too if you were stuck in Cincinnati.
Yeah, he just wasn't getting targeted, and he was getting manhandled every play, and he just seemed to give up on the game. And Josh Norman's, calling him soft and telling him he's not elite.
Josh,
like, you're not elite.
That's harsh.
You're looking at elite. Yeah. So,
Josh Norman's a bit of a dick, eh? But you're supposed to be if you're a cornerback.
Yeah, that's why I like them.
Yeah, they're just jawing. They're like a jawing. And something else that you might like. So here's my big one. Will Greer starts in 2+ games for the Carolina Panthers. Oh, what? Oh my God. No, it's impossible. No. Yeah, it's going to happen. I think that...
Because he gets injured?
Yeah, I think Cam is going to. He's not going to be 100% when he's coming back from his surgery, and I think he's going to get beat up. I think possibly by the Jaguars in Week 5, which will allow Will Greer to come in and show a little bit of what he's made of.
And what do you think? How many games do you think he plays, and how many do you think he wins?
Them all, and he's going to win the Super Bowl. No, I have lower expectations for that because I don't think that the Panthers have that much weapons, really. But I think that they'll get an idea of what Greer is as a passer, and he'll be able to see that he's going to have a stronger arm than Cam after the shoulder surgery. And it'll raise questions. Cam will come back in, but it will raise questions about where Carolina would go in the future, or where Will Greer will go in the future.
Yeah,
I think as a rookie, he'll come in. He'll maybe have like a 2 touchdown performance or something like that. I mean, just after the say if this does pan out in exactly the way that I said that it would. Say, so Carolina Panthers schedule. So say Cam gets taken out in the Jaguars game, so Greer finishes that one off. I think they'd probably end up losing that one. But then the following week, you've got the Buccaneers. And the Buccaneers were not great on defense last year. They tried to make some strides to improve it, but I reckon that would be a perfect opportunity for him to come in and do something. You'll then have the 49ers, so you'll get a lot of a pass rush in your face by that point. But he'll still be able to show what he's got there. And then possibly if Cam's still out, then you'll have the Titans, followed by the Packers. You know, this is definitely a way too early, throw it out there sort of prediction. But I'm just going for it because if it comes off, I can come back to this and say, well, you know, I told you. And if it doesn't, I'll be like, well, of course, I didn't mean it, did I? It's a completely ridiculous assessment to make.
Well, my last one, which is my throw out there one, and for the same reasons really, is that I think that Aaron Rodgers is going to be fit this season, and I think that Green Bay will make the championship game.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. Because I think they'll win their division.
Tell us why, Darren.
They're going to win their division, and they'll get a bye. Mm-hmm. And then they'll play someone like the Cowboys or the Seahawks at home in the second round, in the divisional round.
Yeah.
And they'll win that game, and then they'll be in there. Because this is the thing with the Packers. They've made such a mess because they are the Patriots of the NFC. Their division has been so competitive for them the whole time Rodgers has been there, but they just can't seem to get it together. And I think this year they will, and they'll win their division games. They'll do what they need to do, and then it's just going to be a home playoff against like I don't know, Seahawks, Cowboys.
Yeah, one of these teams that gets there, but it has some holes here and there. That's what you see. Well, I like the appointment of Nathaniel Hackett as the offensive coordinator. I think that he was drinking from a poison chalice in Jacksonville, and that was definitely not his fault that he was let go there. I think for a lot of the time he was made a bit of a scapegoat, but really we all know
he did some good things against the Pats.
Yeah,
and last season with Bortles. So. Absolutely.
Now, of course, Green Bay is going to be an interesting scenario to watch because this is the first time in a long time that they're going into a season without Mike McCarthy as their head coach. So they've got Matt LaFleur in there trying to steady the ship. Now, a lot of people are saying, "Oh, but he's quite young. You know, will Aaron Rodgers be able to respect him and stuff?" And there's I don't buy for a minute any of this stuff that says that Aaron Rodgers is a bad teammate or anything like that. He's just someone who wants to win. And I can see them really turning it on this season. They've got a pretty good offensive line. Not a big fan of the Billy Turner acquisition to right guard or anything like that. But yeah, you got David Bakhtiari, who we said we really like. Brian Bulaga is playing at right tackle. If Jimmy Graham can like get back to what he was like before, then great, they're going to do nicely there. And don't forget about Mercedes Lewis being another tight end there who has had some success in the past. And I would also say watch out for Aaron Jones at running back. I think that he is going to be the one who's going to like really set himself apart on that team. Jamal Williams, good running back, but Aaron Jones, when he's been fit, he has been the one that they can really try and push that offense through. And you did previously mention Devontae Adams. I do really like him out there. You've got Equanimous St. Brown, one of the best names in the league, as well as Marquez Valdez-Scantling. That's a lot of letters in there. And Jake Kumaro, who was a bit of a preseason darling for them last year, but then got injured. He could, watch out for him. He could really have some sort of impact there as well. And they have been improving on defense as well, which is really encouraging for them. Because it's been a bit of a problem here and there. And if the Rashawn Gary pick pans out, then they could have a real difficult defensive line to deal with, because you've got Zadarius Smith, who's signed from Baltimore. You've got Mike Daniels, who's been there forever. Kenny Clark's a great nose tackle. It could really work out nicely for them. I see them having a bounce back year.
Yeah, I just think if they can beat the Bears at home, then
what a way to kick off the NFL
and,
season, by the way. That's real good.
The Lions and the Vikings just aren't. They're just not Rodgers, if you know what I mean. I just think that if Rodgers is 100%, then they should beat those teams, and it's going to be between them and the Bears for the title. And I think if they get that first game home win, again against the Bears, then they'll be in the driving seat for the whole season. And so pretty much you could say that the Packers season really does depend on that Thursday night game, which is a shame for them, but it's such a big one because it's going to be a tiebreaker, in my opinion. I think that they'll run their league, their division even, and so will the Bears. So they've got to get that win, and if they do, I think they could easily make the finals, the championship finals. I don't know if they can beat the Rams or the Saints.
Yeah, it'd be tough.
But if they're, that's going to be what it is for them, because I don't think they'll get the home record for the Super Bowl or for the championship game. But
they very frequently find themselves on this list. People say the Packers have to be my pick for the Super Bowl, and then it's happened the last few years and they just flake and fade away. And some people have said that was just the play calling. Like McCarthy's lost it. He doesn't know how to run an NFL offense in this era. So, yeah, we're going to get an idea very quickly about where they're going to go this season, I think.
If they come out spread and Rodgers is throwing on the run and their tempo's up, and it's going to be that first quarter, it's going to be amazing. Got to sit down on a Friday afternoon and watch it.
Yeah.
First game of the season. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to it. It's still way too far away, though.
I know. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So we better think about wrapping up shortly. So let's just have a quick chat about some of the news in the NFL recently. So something which we alluded to in our previous episode was the Seattle Seahawks releasing both Cam Chancellor and Doug Baldwin, two talismans of that organization for a long, long time. Cam Chancellor being one of the last remaining members of the Legion of Boom, had a couple of injuries to deal with recently, and Doug Baldwin being, in my mind, one of the most criminally underrated wide receivers of this generation. And both of them have been shown the door, primarily due to injury concerns, we think. But what's your take on those guys?
Well, Cam Chancellor, he put out he's definitely retiring.
Mm-hmm.
He was coming out and saying, that people were coming up to him in the gym, and players and just public, when he's been working out, saying, "Look, mate, you look great. Come back." And it's not about that. It's about the injury that he has being a kind of injury where if something goes wrong, he'll end up like Ryan Shazier.
Yeah.
So it's like a spine neck thing he's got. So he may look great and he may be on, giving the pics and at the Met Gala and that. But yeah, he's definitely retiring. The Doug Williams one is that I think
Doug
that
Baldwin.
the Seahawks were who's Doug Williams?
Doug Williams is a former Super Bowl winning quarterback for the Washington Redskins.
Yes, I watched that.
Him too.
30 for 30
Yeah,
recently. Yeah. But he's retired too. Yeah. So
It's
Baldwin,
has he actually
though.
officially retired yet? Or I know he was mulling it over.
yeah, I think Doug Baldwin. It's more that the Seahawks are ready to move on. They did restructure his contract and negotiated to release him on an injury, so he still maintains his signing bonus and his guaranteed money and that. So
Yeah.
they're not leaving in bad terms.
Yeah.
This has been a few weeks of them structuring something, and I'm sure he'll be at one of the home games next season to wave to the fans and that.
Yeah.
But he may recover from his injury and end up at someone like the Patriots or something.
Oh no! Stop it! No, you can't keep
Just
saying
need
he's
a
gonna go to
weapon
the
for
Patriots.
4 6 weeks. He's not as injured as Cam Chancellor is.
Yeah.
I think that Doug Baldwin has the chance to recover if he takes the time.
Mm-hmm.
But I would be surprised if they played again, to be honest. I think they're both leaving. They're both retiring. They're not being kicked out of the team. They've chosen to retire, and they've structured their deals to allow them to get their money and go off into the sunset and allow the Seahawks to plan for the future. Which something's tough, isn't Pete Carroll 73 now or something?
Oh yeah, I'm fairly certain that he is wearing
It's
some
older
sort
than
of
Belichick.
ring which keeps him alive magically.
It's the Red Witch.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the Seahawks, where they're going, is interesting. Losing out on these two guys is going to be a big hit, especially now that the Seahawks don't have the Seahawks haven't had anything at wide receiver for a long time, really, apart from Doug Baldwin, and now they're going to have to put all of their eggs in one basket on DK Metcalf, and a room full of relative nobodies.
Well, they've got Tyler Lockett as well.
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
But
Can
they
he
need
do
to
it
play
for
a
an
certain
entire
way for
season?
him.
That's
I
the
don't
question.
know. This is Tyler Lockett. I'd be looking at, if I was the Chiefs, he would have been someone I'd have been using some draft picks to trade for instead of taking a punt on someone like Merkel Hardman.
Yeah. Now I will say that
I don't know if he quite fits the Seahawks scheme for what he might do in other teams, but he's a good player. He's definitely not. He's not a normal number 2 because he's only 5'9" or something.
yeah. He's
Compared to
electrifying.
Metcalf. That'll be an interesting squad picture that they do.
They have to
him standing
use
beside him.
Tyler Lockett right. They have to start using him in that sort of Tyreek Hill-esque role. Maybe a little less in the outside the numbers, but you can get him coming across the middle. You can use him as your deep burner too. To be fair, I'll give Seattle credit. Their wide receivers aren't as bad as I was perhaps making out, because you got DK Metcalf is the one that they're putting a lot of stock into, but David Moore was a good contributor last year, and he is someone I actually really quite like. They also picked up Jerron Brown from Arizona, who obviously just cleared house in their wide receivers over the draft. And they're trying to shore up the offensive line a bit as well. You've got DJ Fluker in there from the Giants. They brought in Dwayne Brown from Houston. Mike Iupati is back from Arizona. As long as you've got Russell Wilson there, I would still say that they're good for the playoffs.
Yeah, yeah. But going back to Doug Baldwin, he's such a story, undrafted, and then he's done so much stuff. And he's not that tall either. He's a
smaller guy,
same height as me.
Yeah, and
coming from Stanford.
Yeah, he's been a good player in this league for a long time, and it's not going to be as fun without him. He always played with a chip on his shoulder, saying he didn't get enough love. So I hope that he's hearing the love from his fans and stuff now, and hopefully the league will give him more credit.
Yeah, 123 games.
And the same goes for
touchdowns.
Same goes for Cam Chancellor. I think the Seahawks knew that this was coming, so they went and put a little bit of stock into their free safety in Marquise Blair, who is an absolute rocket. So he's one of these guys. He just goes in a straight line and hits you hard. I was listening to some analysis on that pick recently, and they're saying like, yeah, he's a good solid player and he's really aggressive. He's going to give up a lot of penalties, but he's what he can do is bring some more energy back into that defensive backfield.
Yeah, well, Cam Chancellor, I kind of wish that the Seahawks had been the whatever it takes team this season and had the documentary crews in their offices, so you could just see, for the last time, what Cam Chancellor really brings to a organization. Because him and Earl Thomas, just it's unbelievable what they achieved and how good they were together, and I don't think we'll see that again for a while, having a free safety and a strong safety kind of combo like that.
Yeah, that Legion of Boom, and then you had Richard Sherman there too. That to my mind, I think that they should have had at least one Super Bowl, one more Super Bowl there. Obviously, one was thrown away against the Patriots, quite literally.
It had nothing to do with them. They held the Patriots to
absolutely
12 points in a Super Bowl. And it's the same with the Rams. The Rams only held the Patriots to 12 points as well. But you got your offense has to help you out, and throwing the ball there, they'll think about that for forever now.
Yeah.
Especially with these boys leaving, it's like the missed opportunity when you had those, the running back Marshawn Lynch. You could have just run it in.
Yeah. Oh well.
I don't know. I just don't know, and I wonder if they stood up at night and just go, I don't know. I still don't know what happened, because they'd done so well in that game, and just in general, to beat the Packers in the game before, and just it's a big play merchant now.
Yeah,
big plays.
Yeah. Anyway, good luck to both of those guys in whatever they end up doing next. It was been a pleasure to watch them, apart from when they're playing against our respective teams. So another thing that's been mentioned on NFL.com recently was Bucky Brooks saying that Dak Prescott deserves to be the next $30 million a season QB. He doesn't. It's not. But the thing is, they're probably going to have to pay him that way, because
they shouldn't though. There should be a
Yeah, Dak is good, but he's not that money good. I liked him when he first came in the league. I thought he was doing very well, but then you could see just how big an impact this offensive line was having for him. He's been very consistent at the level that he's been at, in terms of he's thrown, I think it's 21, 22, and 22 touchdowns in a season. That's not $30 million money. He's not thrown the ball away too much. I don't think he's had double-digit interceptions or anything, so he's safe. But yeah,
he's not, because he fumbles the ball every third time he has.
Yeah, sorry. He's safe in terms of when he's passing, but when he's hit, he can't protect the ball either. So that's another pretty large downgrade on him as well.
I'm literally of the opinion that it should be similar to what goes through for field goal kickers, and I would just take Dak and give him the ball, and then have the whole team try and tackle him, and every time he fumbles it, he loses $1 million a year.
Well, okay, yeah, you could start him off on a $30 million contract, and then just say that we're going to get one of our defensive linemen to just follow you around, and then every now and again, when you're not thinking about it,
swipe at you.
Yeah, he's going to swipe the ball out of your hands. You're going to be in the canteen. You've got to carry this thing with you.
Well, they could just do it over the OTAs. It'd be like, look, you're coming in, and we're going to play some live downs, and every time you fumble the ball, you lose money. And if he fumbles it 13 times, then he's on $17 million a year.
God, how are we not writing these contracts?
Because that was the biggest problem last season he had. He was fine. He didn't have any weapons, to be honest, for most of the season. But he was dropping it when he was getting... he just didn't have the pocket presence. So if you're saying that you're going to pay Drew Brees and Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers a certain amount of money, and they have the pocket presence, and he doesn't. And I think that is a massive difference.
How many 300-yard passing games do you think he has in 48 season starts?
None.
He has 5 in 48 games.
Oh, yeah, because he had that one where Amari Cooper did it all away.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That wasn't even him getting that. He's just getting it to Amari Cooper and letting him do it.
Shredding tackles and juking players.
Yeah. Now, to his credit, they have racked up a fair amount of wins during this time. They've been quite consistent. They've definitely improved since the Tony Romo era, but that isn't because of the quarterback, to my mind. To my mind, it's because they've improved.
Jalen Smith and Leighton Vander Esch and Tyrone Smith and Zach Martin. And
you've got great defensive line, great offensive line. And getting someone like Cooper in has helped a lot.
The most influential player on the Cowboys is Sean Lee by an absolute mile. When he doesn't play, they lose, and it will be selfish if Dak Prescott takes $30 million and destroys their cap for the next 5 years, because they're nearly there. They're nearly there.
I like Golly because of the way that those linebackers are coming together now. Sean Lee could well be the odd man out. He could be on the way out because Leighton Vander Esch is playing so well. But people are saying but you have to find a way to keep him and use him.
He's too. Having Sean Lee reminds me of Luke Kuechly. Like, if he's there, he is the man. He's telling everyone what to do. He's controlling it. And then he's not there. The team doesn't have enough time to adjust. So if you have him, he just has to be maybe someone that comes in for like a 3rd and 2 or something and helps. He just can't be the captain anymore because he just doesn't play enough games. And he doesn't. When he's not there, he just impacts. Him being missing really puts the defense back. So if they think it's better to move on and just start again with a new, play caller and captain on the defense, then that might be the way they go.
I think they've seen,
especially when they've just kind of they've lucked into Jalen Smith and Leighton Vander Esch.
Yeah, I think that they're just going to say that we can't pay Sean Lee any more money when we have these two proper star linebackers that we've just stumbled into. They're going to have to distribute it elsewhere. But if they do end up paying Dak $30 million a season, then what the hell, You want to see Tom Brady doing that.
Eagles will be laughing,
Yeah. Anyway, I am getting very, very hungry right now, Darren. So, do you have anything else you want to add to this podcast today?
No, I think I'm good. I'm glad we got to do it. There isn't really much going on other than Odin Beckham kind of poking the Patriot bear, which I'm all for.
Yeah, you did compare the Browns to the Patriots going forward. We'll see how that all works out. Apparently, he did come back and elaborate on that, but I've not read too much more into it. But there's
the one that I won't touch on too much in this podcast, but I'm really intrigued to see what happens to Kyle Rudolph.
Yeah,
Kyle Rudolph will make a massive difference to either the Pats, the Jags. He's not going to go to an NFC team, so they're not going to trade him. But the Pats, the Jags, the Raiders, a few teams could really use Rudolph. But I think it'd be a massive mistake for the Vikings to get rid of him. Just because he's such a good presence in the locker room and he's such a good end zone threat as well. Yeah. So if he ends up in the Jags or something, he'd be an unbelievably good pick in a scoring league. Yeah. He always gets free. For the listeners, I don't know if he can.
Kyle Rudolph, tight end of the Minnesota Vikings, has been floated around as a trade candidate since they drafted Irv Smith Jr. In the draft from UCLA. obviously there's
Irv
a
Smith
few
was
teams out there.
Alabama, I think.
Alabama, sorry, yeah. So Kyle Rudolph is looking like someone who could come and upgrade, and there is a lot of teams out there who could really do with a pass-catching tight end like Kyle Rudolph.
Yeah, so maybe we can touch on that in another podcast, but let's keep an eye out on that. We might be reporting where he's gone in the next one. So
yeah, cool. So yeah, keep watching the skies, listeners. And if that'll do it for today, then I guess that all that remains is for us to say thank you very much for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.
Oh, I have another thing to add.
Oh,
really
okay,
quickly.
sorry. Cancel that one. Stop it. Stop music. Okay, Darren, go ahead.
Everyone should follow our Twitter page.
Ah, yes, okay. So I recently started up Twitter. So Darren, do you want to give us our handle?
So it's fourth, so 4TH, and then an N for but an N. Forever. Pod, P-O-D.
Gotcha. 4th N Forever POD.
Yes.
Yeah, at us. Hit us up.
And at the moment, I have control of that, so you'll be seeing loads of snarky comments about retweets.
Oh, God. And
occasional GIF.
Expect...
Occasional GIF about how good the Browns are.
Yeah.
No, I've kept it quite neutral.
Expect to see lots and lots of videos of Odell Beckham smoking cornerbacks and defensive backs.
Smoking rookies. I felt pretty bad about that.
Yeah, exactly. Harsh. Anyway, now, is there anything else, Darren?
No.
Cool. In that case, then,
later.
thank you very much for joining us, and we'll catch you next time. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Yeah!